This video is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Hey Wisecrack, Michael here. When you hear Fast and Furious, you may think cargo fast, big man flex muscle. Or if you're like me, you may think powerful Mount Rushmore of bald men. But while the franchise thrives on ridiculous stunts involving giant bank vaults and nuclear submarines, it also has some pretty big questions. Like, when is crime actually the answer? Let's find out in this Wisecrack Edition on the Fast and Furious, and spoilers ahead. And before we dive deeper, I need to take a quick meal break with this week's sponsor, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is great because unlike other sugar cereals that cause that afternoon crash, I feel energized and ready to go after a bowl. And it's all thanks to the nutritional values that they offer versus other cereals. It has 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. On top of that, it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. Healthy, but delicious. Right now, you can snag their latest and greatest limited edition flavors, maple waffle and cookies and cream. You can build your box with these awesome new flavors as well as the OGs, like cocoa, fruity frosted, peanut butter, cinnamon, and blueberry. Click the link in the description to get their great new flavors of maple waffle and cookies and cream before they sell out. If you use code Wisecrack, you can even get $5 off. So check it out in the link below. Now, back to the show. For those of you who have been living under a non-Dwayne Johnson related rock, The Fast and Furious follows a scrappy gang of street racers / thieves / international super spies led by one Dominic Toretto. In its humble beginnings, the series was just about Dom stealing the way to a decent living while evading the authorities, often in spectacular fashion. But with each sequel, the scale and the stakes get exponentially larger. And before you know it, the crew's doing anti-terrorism work for a shady government agency. Still, no matter what the mission is, the series always circles back to what Dom and his crew are really about: freedom and family.
Money will come and go. We know that. The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room.
They live as outlaws, eschewing the comforts of civilian life for an existence that feels truly free. And while they don't care much for the letter of the law, it's not like they lack any moral code. Their own word is treated as sacrosanct. When Dom or a member of his crew promises to do something, you can guarantee that they'll do it, even if that thing is dangerous or potentially suicidal, like driving a car through a yacht or out of an airplane. As a result, they are able to trust one another completely. The stunts get crazier with each passing film, but they are all built on the crew's collective faith in one another. But why? I mean, sure, family is nice, but isn't that what the Olive Garden is for? And isn't freedom just the experience of eating unlimited breadsticks until I puke? To understand why this kind of freedom and family is different from lowbrow carbo loading, we need to think of Dom and Gang not as muscle car driving DVD thieves, but as pirates. Or at least pirates on the high seas of the California interstate. Argh. Nope, seriously. While plenty of action franchises offer beefy men pummeling each other in the face, Fast and the Furious is unique in that it can be best appreciated with a little side of buccaneering history. That's because pirates, at least the Golden Age pirates who inspired the media trope, were out for the same thing as the Fast crew: freedom. Many were former sailors who, sick of being mistreated by society, looked to the open sea as a place where they could be free. You might even say they lived their life a quarter knot at a time. I should have been a professional tennis player. And it's not hard to see why they made that choice. Life as a sailor was absolutely brutal. The crews were barely fed, routinely beaten by their employers, and confined to tiny, horrid lodgings. Many sailors, especially the British variety, were either African slaves or impressed men who were forced to serve in the Royal Navy. In short, it was awful, and piracy was their only escape. Famed pirate Bartholomew Roberts summed it up neatly, claiming that in merchant work there is thin commons, low wages, and hard labor. In this, i.e. pirate work, plenty and satiety, pleasure and ease, liberty and power, no, a merry life and a short one shall be my motto. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my back after this. While Dom and his crew never suffered the cursed existence of a 17th century British sailor, the parallels aren't hard to see. The world of street racing, like the world of pirating, offers a kind of freedom and agency you won't get from working in the service industry or for the FBI. And for high school dropouts like Jesse, or just people with a criminal record, it's a line of paid work that's a little more lucrative than punching in at a Pep Boys.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Nothing else matters, not the mortgage, not the store, not my team and all their bullshit. For those 10 seconds or less, I'm free.
For pirates, freedom meant everything. They'd often go to the gallows satisfied with their choices, proclaiming, "A pirate's life to be the only life for a man of any spirit." Our street racing family is equally unwavering in their commitment. At one point in the films, Dom distances himself from Letty, hoping she'll return to a safer civilian life. She stays steadfast though, and the two are soon back catching each other's falls and watching each other's backs.
You will never be alone again. I vow, wherever you go, I go. You ride, I ride. You fight, I fight. And if you ever die on me, Dominic Toretto, I'm gonna die with you.
They'd rather live well than live long. And in a society full of mostly garbage options, Dom and his crew offer a glorious escape route.
Life's simple. You make choices and you don't look back.
Of course, pirates weren't just rejecting the order of life they encountered on ships. They were rejecting British society at large, with its rigid hierarchy in which the few at the top profited while the working masses lived in squalor. Pirates threatened this order, and authorities went to great lengths to demonize them and scare away potential recruits. They'd even hang their dead bodies outside of ports. Meanwhile, there were brutal wars and starvation wages and rampant slavery, but hey look, there's an evil pirate that might say "Argh," which is scary. Captured pirates were even told to make statements affirming the righteousness of the British crown, with the potential of being given a lighter sentence. And with its cops and robbers plot lines, the Fast and Furious series immediately suggests a similar us against them moral dichotomy. But the series complicates that simplicity. From the SWAT raids in the first movie to Hobbs' heavy-handed approach in the fifth, they call attention to the way the authorities often rely on the same might makes right approach as any other gang or colonial power. In doing so, the series calls into question the relationship between morality and law, with characters like cop-turned-Toretto family member Brian caught right in the middle.
Maybe you're lying to yourself. Maybe you're not the good guy pretending to be a bad guy. Maybe you're the bad guy pretending to be the good guy.
Both Brian and Hobbs start out as lawmen who believe they are making the world better by enforcing the letter of the law. But through their interactions with the Toretto family, they come to realize that things are a lot more complicated.
We didn't kill those feds. Those Reyes.
I don't give a shit. Just here to bring in two assholes whose names hit my desk.
Yeah. That sounds like a real hero.
Compare this to a story about Alexander the Great capturing a pirate and furiously asking him how he dares to molest the seas. The pirate replies, "How dare you molest the whole world? Because I do it with a small boat, I am called a pirate and a thief. You, with a great navy, molest the world and are called an emperor." Of course, the powers that be were occasionally able to dispense with their moral outrage about pirates, so long as the crews were proved useful. In times of war, authorities would enlist pirates as privateers and send them off to rob their enemies. The Fast and Furious crew similarly find themselves recruited by the government to use their skills in its service. And while we're not here to defend everything every pirate ever did, they did stay committed to their vision of fostering a less oppressive society. Some basically pioneered their own brand of egalitarian democracy, radically subverting the top-down power structures found on land. Now that's something to sing about. While each pirate ship had a captain, their power was checked and balanced by the pirate assembly, in which every crew member had a voice, with the quartermasters stepping in to make final rulings. They voted on all major matters, split the profits of their plunder equally, and provided ample food, decent lodgings, and healthcare to all. Wait, did pirates invent Medicare for all? They even ensured that anyone who lost an arm or a leg was fairly compensated. This, in broad strokes, is a lot like how Dom's crew and their family values operate. Sure, Dom is ultimately in charge, but he's not going to throw you out and forget you exist after you lose an eye being pummeled by Jason Statham. He almost never has to wield power over the other members of his family, except to make sure they say grace before eating. Just like a good Midwestern dad.
Because you were the first out of everybody here to reach in to get the chicken, you say grace.
Instead, we see the crew continually working together for each other. Their family barbecues allow everyone a chance to voice their opinions and concerns about the next job. And when they inevitably pull it off, the payday allows each of them to pursue their own goals in life, whether that's opening a garage or starting a new life in Tokyo. In Fast and Furious, family isn't dictated by blood. It's treated almost as a sacred pact, signaling the depth and strength of the crew's bond.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Now, commentators have called Fast and Furious a post-racial franchise. That's because while having an incredibly diverse cast, each character is understood entirely on their own merits. And it's not dissimilar from pirates, who, having broken free of an international trade system built on colonialism and slavery, could meet one another on level terms. Native Americans and enslaved Africans escaped oppression by joining pirate ships, often then using their local knowledge to help their crews confound the imperial forces. Even women were sometimes welcomed at a time when conventional superstition claimed that if they even stepped on a ship, it would bring bad fortune to the voyage.
It's bad luck to have a woman on board too.
And while the Fast and Furious isn't exactly feminism 101, it does gradually find a way to place characters like Dom and Letty on equal footing through parallel storylines. In the 6th film, Dom risks his life to save Letty even after she has been manipulated into trying to kill him. In the 8th entry, the tables are turned, and it's Letty to the rescue after Dom is blackmailed into betraying the crew. Pirates claim to be from the seas, that is, from nowhere and everywhere, and you could in the same way say that Dom is of the road. Of course, pirates aren't the only outlaw predecessors to Dom's crew. The gunslingers, who became symbolic of the Wild West, defied the encroaching social order to live by their own ideas of justice. Whether they truly were as honorable as the legends say is debatable, but figures like Jesse James and Billy the Kid remain a fascination for the way they stood in defiance against an unfair order, even if, like Jesse James, they didn't do a lot of sharing and just murdered a bunch of people. You can even take it all the way back to the ballads about Robin Hood, which celebrated a lowly thief forcefully redistributing some of medieval England's wealth. Sure, some of these might be gangs that take through brute force, but are they all that different from the governments that tried to crack down on them? We don't even need to celebrate the deeds of outlaws like Dom or Billy the Kid to consider the saying from German playwright Bertolt Brecht: "What is the burgling of a bank compared to the founding of a bank?" Whether it's sailing out on the wide blue sea or cruising through the streets of Brazil, these outlaws are ultimately in pursuit of a place where they can live freely and authentically, defined by who and what they love.
Father, thank you for the gathering of friends. Father, we give thanks for all the choices we've made, because that's what makes us who we are. And most of all, thank you for fast cars.
For all its insanity and all the twists and turns it's taken along the way, the Fast and Furious series is essentially a new rendition of the outlaw hero myths we've been telling for centuries. The crew creates a space in which people from all walks of life can shed the constrained identities they've been forced to assume in mainstream society and carve out a path uniquely their own. So what do you think, Wisecrack? Should we have stopped at cargo fast, big man flex muscle? Or is there something more going on under the hood? Let us know in the comments. Thanks as always to our patrons. Be sure to hit the NOS on that subscribe button and don't forget to ring that bell. And as always, thanks for watching. Later.